How about now? You guys can hear me now? All right. So anyway, moving on. You know, the Philadelphia cheesesteak originated in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, my birthplace. And how you doing, Candace? How you doing, Cape Pack 8? How you doing? Gino's and Pat's. I mean, it was a one-place hot dog stand, and then they spawned up into two places right next door to each other, Gino's and Pat's. And this is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It started when a busy taxi driver that was a regular at that place, and they were trying to create a new sandwich, and he smelled the ribeye steak they were cooking, and he says, "Hey, put that on the sandwich and add some cheese and some onions," and thus the rest is history. So this is back in the 1930s, and they spawned over. This is back in the 1930s. So yeah, the most iconic sandwich of America was born. Anyway, how you doing? It's spawned into two places. Now it's Gina's and Pat's. I've been there several times, and every time I take a trip to PA, I try to get there. I try to go there just for the landmark thing. I think it's just a landmark thing. I don't think their steaks are that great, honestly, anymore. I think it's just, you know, a cultural landmark, historical cultural landmark, you know. Um, but yeah, I don't think they're really that great actually, and they're very expensive actually. $20 for a pizza or a cheesesteak. So yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, so moving on. I try to take a trip to Philly every year. I haven't been able to do so this year yet. So, but when I do, I will definitely, hopefully, get the chance to get there and talk more about that. So, I will tell you about my favorite place too when I visit there. My favorite place isn't even in Philadelphia. And Brandon, this video is for you. I know I said I was going to make a video earlier. I apologize, but you know, I fell asleep. But you know, I feel really good today. You know, it's been a really good night. You know, I had a good night's sleep and everything. Hello, Adam. All right, so we started with our onions. We diced a whole big onion, and you know, you want to use a big onion for this recipe because you know it's going to shrink a little bit. So we already got our onions going, and I always try to get my onions going. And you know, we keep it at a medium high heat because you know they're going to shrink, and I like crispy onions for my cheesesteaks. So anyway, and then also now we're going to start on our cheese whiz. And for Cheese Whiz, you know, you usually use, you know, yellow American, but I like, you know, yellow American Cheese Whiz, but today I'm using white American, and I shredded some. You know, I have little blocks in there too, you know, because you want it thick, you know, you don't want it too thin, but you want a good consistency out of your Cheese Whiz. So, you know, we shredded some, but we also cut some up, and we have little blocks in there too. You know, sometimes I use yellow American, but today I'm just using white American. So yeah. Anyway, all right, we're gonna add that to our bowl or pan here too. We're gonna start in our cheese whiz. Cheese whiz is so easy to make. You know, all you need is your cheese, yellow American usually, and a couple tablespoons of milk. So there we go. We're gonna add that in there. We're gonna get that going. You know, people have asked me before, what makes a good cheesesteak? You know, well, my opinion is the bread, really. I think you need a really good bread. Because concept of a Philly cheesesteak is very, very simple to make, actually. It just takes steak, cheese, and egg, and onions. That's it. That's the basic concept of it. So anyway, yeah, like I said, the concept of a cheesesteak is very, very simple. It just takes steak, cheese, and onions. So yeah, but yeah, the bread is the best. And a lot of people tell me, well, you're from Philly. What makes a great cheesesteak? Well, you know what a good cheesesteak tastes like. Well, I'm originally from Philly, but I mean, like I've tasted. I don't know all concepts, but I've tasted cheesesteaks in Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Georgia, and other places. But honestly, the thing is that what makes a really good cheesesteak from back east is that food just tastes better from where I'm from. Philadelphia, I don't know what it is. The quality of bread and the quality of steak is way better there. So if you really, really want to taste a really good cheesesteak sandwich, then you need to visit Philly or New York or the East Coast like that, and Jersey. All those three states, I mean, you're probably going to get a pretty decent cheesesteak. That's it. Outside of that, I mean, like, I don't think I've tasted a really good cheesesteak outside of that. So anyway, um, but other than that, if you really want to get closest to, making a good cheesesteak, I mean, I live close to a place called, what's that place? Fat Shack. It's a pretty common, pretty popular fast food place. Their cheesesteaks are not bad actually, and then also Pepper Jack's Bar and Grill. I live close to one of those. I mean, like, they're a pretty popular fast food chain. They're a little bit like Chipotle, similar concept, So, but if you don't not close to those places, I'd recommend going to a bakery and getting some baked hoagie rolls, or invest in a bread maker. My mother makes her own hoagie rolls, and they're pretty to die for. So I think that really is gonna really enhance whatever sandwiches you're making, or Philadelphia cheesesteak in general. So yeah, one of these days I'm gonna invest in one of those too. So yeah, the bread. So like I said, the bread is really important. So yeah, and then other than that, I mean, if the rest is pretty basic and downhill. Get ribeye steak. Ribeye steak is, the original and more traditional way to go. So yeah, and then a whole onion, and that's it. And then cheese-wise, it really depends on you. Provolone is the most prominent or traditional, but provolone is little plain Jane. Honestly, I like white American, or you can use cheese, or you can make your own cheese whiz, and that's what I'm doing today. But I'm using white American. It usually goes with yellow American. So that's it, and that's pretty much the basic concept right there. All right, now we're about to add our ribeye steak. So we shaved and cut very thinly. Now you can cut this thinly on your own, and you want to try to cut it almost paper thin like that. I mean, that's not even that thin enough. I wanted to make it thinner. I'll make twice as thin as that, basically. So yeah, it took me a little bit, but you can also actually, if you buy ribeye steak, you can ask the meat cutter to cut it for you too. So yeah, but unless you're really good at cutting and you don't mind, cutting for a couple hours or cutting for a little bit, So yeah, but you want to make it paper thin almost, like deli meat. So anyway, all right, we're gonna add that to our onions. I already started our onions a little bit because I like extra crispy onions, because this is gonna shrink a little bit. So that's why I went ahead and started the onions before. So anyway, now we're gonna add our steak. Now we're going to go ahead and chop a little bit more. I've seen a lot of people do this just because, you really want thin bits of steak and onions. But where the real cultural phenomenon of flavor really comes from is the steak and the onions. That's where, and that juice and that moisture that goes together. That's really what creates that really beautiful flavor of the cheesesteak. Oh, thank you very much. Yes, it is. I apologize. Alright, now we're going to turn the heat up a little bit more. Just cook a little bit faster. And pretty much that's it. You know, you're just going to wait, and then I'm going to show you the concept of how you build your cheesesteak. You know, you put the hoagie roll right on top. And, you know, we say hoagies because I'm from Philly. So I'll share with you that as soon as our steak and our onion are done. And some people like to put seasoning on their steak. I mean, that's totally up to you. I don't think it really needs that much seasoning because, you know, the steak and the onions are really what create that universal, beautiful flavor for a cheesesteak. So, but you can do some salt and pepper just to enhance it a little bit. Hello, XXO. How you doing? There we go. We're just going to add some salt and pepper just to enhance that flavor. So other than that, I don't really think a cheesesteak really needs any seasoning. Well, thank you very much. Just a little flavor enhancer like salt and pepper, and that's it. Oh yeah, that looks beautiful. Up a little bit. Hello, Ratana. How you doing? Hope I'm saying that right. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm a little smaller creator, so if you want to check out my videos, if you like to cook or whatnot, I'd really appreciate if you check it out for me. You don't have to subscribe, but just give it a check out. Thank you. I really appreciate that. What's that? Absolutely, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I will definitely give your channel a look at too. I don't know what you do, but yeah, I really would love to look at your channel and see what you do if you're a small time creator too. That's awesome. Wow. Oh, I appreciate you heading over to my channel. I really do. All right, let's give that a taste. That's where it's at. That I can taste that universal Philadelphia cheesesteak sandwich taste. It's just so familiar. It's that steak and the onions that really make that cultural universal flavor for a Philly cheesesteak. Had bacon and eggs. That's not a cheesesteak. That's a breakfast sandwich. That's a Philly cheesesteak breakfast sandwich. But that's you don't dip that on a cheesesteak. Not a traditional one. I'm from Philly, you know. That's a sin back there. That's not a real cheesesteak then at that point. Oh, thank you so much, Judy. How you doing? I'm making Philly cheesesteaks. And you know I'm from Philly, so I know how to make one for sure. All right. So I think it's about time we assemble our sandwich. So this is the Philly way of assembling your sandwich. So normally what you do is you throw, you know, if you're using sliced cheese, you throw your cheese on top. But, you know, we got our Whiz cheese here, so we're going to put our bread on top, and then we're going to use our spatula and then scoop it up like that. You know, I have roommates coming in back and forth, so give me a moment. After I assemble my sandwich, I'll let you guys know. Give me a moment. All right, guys, here we go. We got our cheesesteak. You know, doesn't that look like an authentic cheesesteak right there for you guys? All right. Sorry, I wanted to put it on camera, but you know, I had roommates coming back and forth, you know, doing their laundry and such. So anyway, about to give it a taste test and give you my thoughts and my ratings. All right, here we go. Cheers. Oop. Let me reposition the camera. Cheers. Mm. 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 Oh, that's a cheesesteak. Oh man. Oh man, that's all kinds of amazing. Mm. Mm. Oh, that is a beautiful, flavorful steak sandwich. Oh man, my most favorite sandwich of the world. One of my most favorite dishes. Oh man, I can't give this a 5 stars enough. Anyway, well, thank you everybody for watching, and thanks everybody for subscribing. I really appreciate that. Sorry, Brandon, you weren't on today. You know, we talked about that in my last video. Appreciate all the likes and subscribes, and as always, happy cooking, everyone. Bye. This is 5 stars all day. Bye, everybody.